Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie. You can just pick one, I don't care.
Hello, I am Lily.
That's a cool origin story, bro, but that doesn't really matter to me.
What? That's still my favorite quote.
What? It's better than science, biatch?
Hmm. Favorite quote this season.
No, I actually think it's better than science, biatch,
It's
but
just the way
anyway.
Fitz says it. He
Um,
delivers that line with such passion.
Welcome to the From the Closet podcast. Today we are covering Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4. So obviously this podcast episode will contain spoilers for this season. Please go watch it. You will find a link below in the description to the Just Watch page for this show, which itself will have links to every place you can purchase, rent, or stream this season. For us here in the US, it's on Disney Plus. And also, I just feel like I should say this because
Hmm.
it's a recent thing that's happened. Spider-Man's 1 through 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man are now on Disney Plus as well.
That is that's interesting news. I'm wondering how that's going to shape what comes after.
Yeah, like I'm really hoping we see The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and the Tom Holland movies on there. And I'm not holding my breath, but it would be nice to see Venom 2, and Morbius get on there, but not holding my breath for that one.
Yeah. And for the rest of
But
the stuff.
I mean, that's all. Oh wait, there is the Incredible Hulk. Who cares? Like honestly, who cares about the Incredible Hulk? But anyway, also in the description you will find a link to Patreon where you can vote on future episodes of this show as well as get access to episodes before they release, as well as early access to episodes of our sister show Off the Shelf, which is about books, and that podcast is exclusive to YouTube and Patreon. Also in the description is a link to, I guess, Spotify for podcasters. Is that
Um,
it?
yeah. Fuck, I still use the anchor link because I just know it works. Maybe I should start using
Yeah.
the new link just in
Yeah, but
case.
anyway, that link itself, the page that links to will have links to every platform this podcast is on, as well as links to our Instagram and Twitter where you can be notified when we release a new episode. Um, so, yeah, with all that being said, uh, please get out if you would like to avoid spoilers. I'm going to repeat that. Please get out because this season is fucking great. Um,
This season is just full of things.
yeah, look at all that TV show.
Okay,
Okay.
where do you even start? I mean, I know I say this every time, but I feel like it just gets more true every time I say it.
I feel like I don't know if this is a hot take or not,
Hmm.
but I feel like this is the best season of any TV show we've covered on this podcast.
Oh, I mean, considering all the contenders, yeah, honestly,
I
I
would,
mean, it had. This is
I,
obviously the longest season we've covered on, other than the other Agents of Shield seasons.
I mean, I would say the only other thing that comes close for me is maybe Star versus the Forces of Evil season 2.
I mean, Amphibia season 3 definitely does hit close to home for me, but I mean, I don't even think I can compare anything really.
Yeah, it's like I was not prepared for psychological horror in my Marvel TV show.
I was not prepared. I was just was not prepared for this season.
And see, like, I was kind of expecting this to go in the direction of exploring the other monoliths in the comics. And I'm pretty sure it's the show is still going to go in that direction at some point.
Hmm.
Because, like, you can't introduce the space monolith and not introduce the other two.
Sure, you
But,
can.
um, but what it seems like to me is this season, part of it wanted to finish off Agent Carter. So I'm really glad we actually watched Agent Carter
Before
before
this,
this.
yeah.
Check out our Agent Carter episodes, by the way.
Specifically, season 2.
Yeah, season two, because that's really what ties into this season, and it's mostly just like the first arc, the Ghost Rider arc, which also had a lot of stuff to deal with like Inhumans that had nothing to do with Ghost Rider, but
Hmm.
um, I don't know.
God,
This
Ghost
season,
Rider was so cool.
yeah, like I knew Ghost Rider was coming in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at some point. I didn't know when.
I mean, I know I've said um, I prefer, all of the fist fighting and instead of like the powers, the MCU has. I don't. I extremely do not mind Ghost Rider.
Yeah, it was really cool. And just so other people listening are aware, neither one of us have seen either of the Nick Cage Ghost Rider movies. Um, they don't seem to be available anywhere from what I last looked, but I would love to cover those eventually.
Look, if his head is not like this, if all the flesh doesn't just start burning off his head and he has that skull, I'm not happy.
But yeah, for me, I think some things in the Ghost Rider arc were predictable to me. Like one of the things in particular I can think of is like when they're busting Robbie's uncle out of prison, and Robbie and his uncle decide to split up. I'm like, oh yeah, he's getting captured immediately.
Well, was he getting captured? Or was he going with his own volition?
Yeah, I mean that was a twist I wasn't sure was going to happen. I was kind of predicting that the ghostly people that came out were the victims in the whole situation, but
Yeah, that's definitely how it felt. And I was still wondering, like, who the fuck could have done it? And yeah, I guess it just makes sense that his uncle was the reason.
yeah.
That had and though I actually still do not have an explanation for this. So those ghostly people, right?
Yeah.
Why, if you touch them, you go insane?
I'm not really entirely sure. I think they might have mentioned it,
Hmm.
but I can't remember if they did. It was just some power they got because of what happened. I don't know.
And then when the three got into like the other dimension or dimension between dimensions,
Yeah, that was one thing where I was like, I'm glad we watched Doctor Strange before this. That like kind of introduced the concept of other dimensions.
yeah. And then, oh god, the cyber world.
We'll get to that. The framework, I believe, is what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, I'm
Yeah,
talking about
we will get to that.
cyberspace from that one OPB show. OBS. That's what I meant.
You mean PBS?
Yeah, actually just sorry, I was remembering the acronym for where I live.
Yeah, most people would have PBS. Like even outside of where I live, it's generally PBS almost everywhere.
So every state has their own.
Yeah, most just
Yeah,
put
most
the
just call it
state
PBS.
initial before P instead of replacing the P. That like this is the
Um,
first I'm hearing about.
Oregon Public Broadcasting, I guess
Yeah,
BS
so that
would
would,
come after.
but
But I've
regardless,
oh yeah, I guess that's widely off topic.
yeah, regardless, um, really really cool to see Ghost Rider. I also really loved the like what they were doing with like the Inhuman like hatred because like it got all the right reactions out of me um, that it was trying to go for when it came to the people attacking Inhumans. Like
Yeah,
the way they spoke about them, I it got all the right reactions. While at the same time, they didn't really have any they didn't have any slurs like created to make me on it that would make me uncomfortable, and they didn't use any existing slurs. So it was like, I mean, they pretty much just called them freaks. And I
yeah, which
mean,
is just an insult.
yeah,
I don't know. Now I'm just thinking about like what would be a slur to Inhumans.
I'm sure they could come up with something, but
Probably.
yeah, it's, I mean, hell, there's a whole episode of Teen Titans where, like, the episode title is a slur against a specific alien race in the show.
Huh.
But we'll get to that when we cover Teen Titans.
Can't believe Cartoon Network execs would let this happen.
It was it was actually a really really good episode. Um, but regardless, I thought the Ghost Rider arc itself, like everything surrounding that, a lot of it felt predictable. I even the whole thing with like the Inhuman resistance. I was like, that's not the Inhumans. They're not doing it.
Yeah, I always had a feeling, but I think I was a little bit like not surprised, but I was put on edge when they revealed it.
Yeah, I also totally called that the director was faking being an Inhuman.
That is something I was like uneasy about. So the way he acted, all of it just seemed like an act.
Yeah, and I do love a
I
joke that they did where it was like Phil Coulson was talking to Daisy about how when he stepped down and said he wanted a powered person to be the head of Shield, he was saying that he wanted it to be her, and she kind of scoffs and says maybe in the comic book version, and I'm like, yeah, pretty sure you did become the director of Shield in the comics after Nick Fury retired.
how about that?
Yeah.
Though, sorry, I'm just getting. I had exactly what I wanted to say in my head, and then right. Something else I predicted was that the other director, I actually forgot his name.
Jeffrey Mace.
Yeah, Mace. I knew he was gonna die. I just didn't know. I didn't even think that he was gonna die in the simulation.
Yeah. I had a feeling when everyone went into the simulation to try to get everyone out, I had a feeling that one person would not make it. I
I see.
wasn't sure who it would be, but it ended up being Mace.
So wait, we had the exact opposite prediction. I thought Mace was just there was too many attempts on his life that he wasn't gonna die, especially since he was introduced this season. And they Marvel has something interesting track record on people introduced that season or the ending of last season.
I also totally predicted that Senator Nadir was gonna die. Um, Especially like once her brother is revealed to be an Inhuman, I was like, oh yeah, that has completely solidified it. She is going to die.
Yeah, and I mean, I just thought about it. I think before the season revealed it themselves, I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute. They would have the same gene.
Yeah, like that's the thing that was kind of annoying me. I was like, if your brother is an Inhuman, that means you probably could be too.
Of
It's not
course,
like a dominant, it's not like guaranteed because like it seems to be like a recessive trait.
yeah. Though it seemed that she had the gene inside her, just not it wasn't
Not
ready.
active.
Yeah.
But
Though of course
yeah,
something else happened in that room.
did we ever see her brother's powers? I think
Yes, we
he
did.
died before he could show.
Remember? While they were trying to kill him, he was evading everything.
Oh right, super speed, kind of.
Not just super speed, he also looked like he was attacking like, professional fighter. Almost like instinct took over him.
Yeah, it was neat.
Though of
Something I've
course he
seen
got
before
shot
though, but
point blank.
yeah, he was killed
Though
pretty much immediately, and then came back in the framework.
and it seems like he's gonna come back again, if I had to guess.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. It's interesting. Talbot is like the head of the ATCU, but I don't think they ever said ATCU a single time in this season.
Oh shit, you're right. Actually, if you think about it, Talbot didn't even show up in this season until way later. Of course, revealing everything about the director.
Right, because it was yeah, right, because it was the director himself who was concerned about Coulson harboring Daisy and Robbie.
Mhm.
Can we talk about the implication that Coulson has dealt with another ghostwriter before?
What was that implication?
Yeah, so basically Daisy had asked Coulson like, do you think he's coming back after Ghost Rider had like disappeared? And or do you think he'll make it out? And Coulson was like, yeah, the last Ghost Rider did. And I'm like,
Oh
sorry,
shit!
what?
Wait, I just remembered something. The part where he became Ghost Rider, right? his origin, there was
Mm-hmm.
another Ghost Rider before him, wasn't there?
For sure. I mean, it's a
So,
title that, like, it's a thing that gets passed on from person to person.
so that means he could have, like, the the Ghost Rider movie and this can be canon at the same time.
I don't think that's going to be the case.
Hmm.
In fact, I really hope that's not the case because that gets things really confusing. Because we're already questioning whether or not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon to the 616 Marvel universe. So yeah, it would get really screwy if they tried to make Ghost Rider canon to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and
Yeah.
Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance.
Though all I really know about Ghost Rider is that nice. He is really cool.
Yeah. Um, so
Of
I
course.
saw
Hmm.
um, a lot of things I really predicted here, and then there was also the thing at the end of the season where there's a robot version of Simmons that Ada's like going to kill right in front of Fitz, and like Fitz does not really seem desperate at all to get Ada to spare Simmons' life, and I'm like, okay, that must not be Simmons then.
Yeah.
Either that or it was just bad acting by the actor that plays Fitz, but
I
it turned
mean,
out not to be that.
I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that the Fifth actor had any bad acting. All of his
Yeah,
acting was perfect.
yeah. Fitz was a real standout this season, I would say. Um,
Oh yeah. Um from his like depressions to his leader of um Hydra.
yeah, for sure. Like he has to go from he has to basically play polar opposite characters. Um, and
And does them
it's
perfectly.
yeah, it's really well done. I got to talk about the whole psychological horror aspect of the second arc, like because I can't imagine walking around and not knowing who is a robot and who isn't,
Oh yeah.
and not even being able to know if I'm not a robot. I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure there was a line about this in a certain Marvel TV show that came out much later that like I was thinking was foreshadowing a certain other movie that comes out later, but it could also be a reference
To this.
to this. I'm being vague to avoid spoilers, but I mean, Lily, you should know what I'm talking about.
Wait, do I?
You
Well, I mean,
should.
I know where the
'Cause-
line is coming from. I just don't know what you mean by what you thought it meant.
Yeah. Well, that you're not going to know for a while.
Yeah, do people not know they're robots? Yeah, when you're being made by a madman.
Yeah. Only how mad was he really? I mean, on his
Clearly
own
not
because you
mad as what we see in the later the season.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, like he like very clearly had his mind corrupted by the Darkhold. And this is our first introduction to the Darkhold in the MCU. Uh God, you do
That's
not mess with you do not mess with chaos magic.
yeah, that was an intense book.
Yeah,
It seemed like it was just too much information to absorb.
for real. But like back on the whole robots thing, it's like the scene between Fitz and Simmons when they both realize that one of them is a robot and neither one of them know which one it is.
Well, one of them knows who it is.
No, like they both genuinely thought they were the real one. At least that's the vibe I got. A lot of them
Yeah.
were,
Well, that's the vibe that I wanted to give you, but then it was later revealed that these batch of robots, the three of them, they knew that they were robots the moment they were made.
well, we knew like the Coulson bot was supposed to know from the moment he was made, as well as like Mac and like I imagine the Daisy clones as well.
Yeah. Um, I'm just imagining because unless he was made at a separate time, then that could be reasonable to assume.
But yeah, God. And then we have other things too, like there's the relationship between Mac and Yo-Yo that we see developing throughout this season. It started last season, but like
Really starts this
God,
blossoms this season. Then something happens to that. Because
yeah,
everything
but
happens. Don't get close to anyone. You might be in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode.
like I don't know, we it's through their relationship, like their relationship arc that we learned that Mac had a daughter at some point, and she died extremely, extremely young. Um,
Hmm.
I think I think he was said it was like a month.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So we learn about that, and then like we also see like Coulson and May talking to each other, and like Coulson's talking about like he's pondering the question of what if I never joined Shield, and then of course May, of course, is like carrying around the the baggage of like the incident in Bahrain where she had to kill a young girl, and like that's obviously her biggest regret. And then we also learn about Fitz's father in this season, and all of these, it's like on on all of these on their own are really
It's the
good
way
things to
that it's
explore.
mixed.
Yeah, like all of these on their own are really good things to explore. And then we get the framework where every single one of those things is reversed.
Every single thing of those, I mean, all these issues were turned around on their head, running backwards. And
Yeah,
we've gone to the Matrix. This is actually the beginning of the Matrix.
I mean it's something.
We are plugging humans into a simulated world. And yeah, also, the host can just die. Ava just killed the doctor. I can't remember his name now.
Radcliffe.
Yeah, Radcliffe. God, they say his name like 500 times.
They do. They really fucking do. Um I knew that I also totally predicted that he would like kind of do something to redeem himself, but I was actually kind of predicting that that would happen before his death and not after it. But I mean,
Yeah.
how could I possibly have predicted the framework?
Yeah, he does redeem himself in paradise, I guess. Well, what was
Oh
supposed to be
yeah.
paradise.
I also love that the place that he was like placed on. Did you catch the name of the island he was on in the framework?
No, I don't remember.
It was Ogygia, which happens to be the name of the island that Calypso is trapped on in Greek mythology.
Oh god, who's Calypso again?
How the
The name
She's the
sounds familiar.
daughter of Atlas, cursed to fall in love with like some hero every 1,000 years and they have to leave.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's basically that.
Yeah.
Living
And then
alone with
we
the love of his life, I guess.
yeah, we have this Agnes character and that's like that's rough. Everything that happens with her. And like I was completely on Mac's side when the whole discussion was happening and like when Coulson wanted to like force her to cooperate. I'm like, hell no, Coulson. Hell no.
But she does do it eventually, but seems like the promise was too much for her.
Yeah, when she does eventually cooperate with S.H.I.E.L.D., it's very much her own choice.
Yeah. And then, of
Just a
course, we
lot.
get to the third act. And
God.
we've been talking about the third act a little bit, but I mean, the big me of this section, Hydra.
Yeah, I'm impressed that despite Hydra not existing anymore and Ward being dead, they still found a way to make Ward and Hydra part of this season.
It's impressive on how not only they're able to get them into this plot naturally, too, is if Coulson never joined S.H.I.E.L.D., hell, if a lot of this stuff never happened, Fitz um, actually believing himself. Um,
Yeah. And like Daisy never would have met her parents and of course would never have learned that her name is actually Daisy.
it's insane. I mean, this is What If before What If.
I mean, one of the episodes is called What If?
I mean, yeah, this is the first episode. I mean, this is What If Hydra.
Ah,
This is basically What If Hydra. Though I don't think. Did they ever make
God.
an episode on that?
And like they brought back we get to see a lot of the agents who
Died.
well, it's not just Ward is not the only character who had died that pops up in the framework. um we get the implication that Lincoln was there at some point and Gordon as well, but we also see Triplet again.
That was an. I liked that.
We don't, however, see Bobby and Hunter. And I just seriously have questions as to why they weren't in the framework. They weren't in S.H.I.E.L.D. because of Coulson. Well, maybe you could make the argument that Hunter was, but Bobby certainly wasn't.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
Bobby was part of that whole real S.H.I.E.L.D. plot line. Like, she had nothing to do with Coulson's S.H.I.E.L.D. until season 2.
hmm. Then I guess the whole real Shield thing, she might have just died along with Shield.
Maybe, but I feel like we should have like been given some kind of explanation, and the fact that we weren't tells me that my theory the previous season uh my theory about them being written out in the previous season was probably correct, that the actors wanted to go and do other things.
I don't. I mean, I want to assume, they could have gotten written out because I don't know the actors were dicks or maybe the well, I doubt that they don't just write someone out in the middle of the season, or I don't know, someone was sick. But at the end of the day, the very least I know Bobby does not return. I did not look for Hunter, not yet anyway.
Yeah. I don't know if this is going to be the last we're seeing of Ward, because I do know that I mean, there's a space monolith. All right, and I've already told you there's going to be 2 other monoliths. I feel like
Hmm.
it's not much of a stretch to say one of them is time.
Yeah. What the fuck would the
But
other one
yeah,
be?
I can't remember at this point in time. I knew at one point,
Okay, we have time, space,
which are
Nolka,
actually the same
Palkia.
thing, but whatever.
I mean, the concept of time is not really space. The 3D. I can't think right now. The world we are in, space, but
But
also
regardless,
space.
this whole thing, like this framework, it, like we had said earlier, it reverses all of the regrets or answers all of their what if scenarios that the characters had. May never killed that girl in Bahrain, and Coulson never joined S.H.I.E.L.D. Fitz's father never abandoned him. I'm probably
And
missing
then
something.
the last one was forgot his
Oh,
character's name, but didn't Hope didn't die.
yeah, Mac's daughter Hope didn't die, and it was like, I think it was when I saw that I realized just how fucked this season was.
Absolutely. I think I figured, like I knew it was fucked. I feel like I figured out the full extent of how fucked it was when Fitz was talking to himself, about everything he's done. I mean, imagine that. He was the leader of second in command of Hydra for a minute there.
No, 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 no. He killed the director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, that too.
Well, he didn't really kill him, but he ordered the strike that killed him.
And of course, he none of that was in his right mind.
Right. And it's scary to think that even after, like, they're all out of the framework, but they all have like the complete memories
of what
of two
happened.
different lives. They've like no, it's not just they have the memories of what happened in the framework. They have their programmed memories of their life before anything that they saw happened. It's basically like it imagine an alternate universe where you are let's say a chemist. Now let's imagine you have all the memories of that life in addition to all the memories you have with your current life. That's what it's like.
But also, everything that happened in this supposed simulation, all of it carries real world consequences.
Absolutely. Because because of the Darkhold, good
Now,
lord, this
Talbot's pissed and in a coma. While all of this is happening, the world is going to shit.
they think
And
Shield are terrorists again.
hey, we've gone full circle.
Yep. Like the whole thing is a mess. And like you know, seeing Mac not wanting to leave the framework, I was like,
God, that destroyed
yeah,
me.
yeah, that that is
But
rough. And
but you
then
have to leave
later when you
eventually because I mean, I knew it, I bet you knew it, but the framework can't be up 24/7. They wouldn't allow that. There would be a point
I
where it
was
has to go down.
yeah, and I was kind of thinking that Mac would just die with it. But
I was I was not prepared for another main character death this season.
when his daughter like literally disappeared, good God.
And I knew like the moment, he came back, he would have all of his other memories about how close he got, to Yo-Yo, than to literally just say, "Oh, by the way, this bunch of code, yeah, I'd rather have this than you."
And I love the conversation that he has with her about it. And like how she says like I'm sorry to have like had to take that away from you, and he says you didn't. um I still have all the memories of the 10 years I spent with her in the framework, even though realistically he didn't spend 10 years there, but he does have 10 years worth of memories there.
Under Hydra's rule, but I mean, unless if you're, I don't know, Melinda May or uh, I'm trying, I'm trying to remember his name, but I cannot. Fitz, those memories might actually be somewhat happy.
Yeah.
The thing,
Well, Coulson is a bit of a weird case because like we're dealing with a character who had already had his memories wiped once before. Um, so he was able to remember fragments of stuff about his old life,
mhm,
even in the framework.
Tahiti, it's a magical place.
No, I think it sucked. Um, but yeah, God,
Oh
this
God, this
season,
so.
it's like I had said. I think this season needs a psychological horror tag. I mean, like I've watched enough horror movies to know that like I don't really find the horror genre to be scary, really.
Mhm.
I feel
I
like
mean,
most,
I
I don't know.
I'm more or less like the scare type. That's usually the reason why I stay away from all that stuff. I'm usually scared or not interested. I was
See,
for this part I wasn't that scared.
for me, like when it comes to horror movies, I'm just not interested. I find most of them boring. Um, this shit is terrifying.
Yeah, it didn't do anything for me.
Not knowing if you're a robot, not knowing if the people around you are robots, or knowing they are, but them not knowing they are. Plus,
God,
everything that's going
one.
on in the framework, not being able to escape when you planned a way to escape, and not knowing if you're going to be able to save your friends.
Well, I mean, there was a part of me that thought like, yeah, them able to get out was a bit, just like one push of button. Yeah, that's a bit too easy. And there's always a safe, um, a backdoor exit off of these types of things. Though, I
I
find
don't
it
think
more. I
I don't
find it a
think
little
I've
bit.
ever been this sorry. I don't think I've ever been this stressed out watching a Marvel property.
Though, what I find a little bit interesting, I don't think we ever saw the Doctor die. We were only told.
I mean, we do see the moment when Ada makes the decision to kill him.
Yeah, well, we see that plunges him into the framework, and that was that.
Yeah.
Though, I
Good
mean,
God. Like, this show, I might have been a little too hard on it um, in like in seasons 1 and 2. And it was because um, I saw some seeds here, stuff where like this show could actually be really, really good. And, when we got to season 3, I thought, hey, they delivered.
you ain't
And
seen nothing yet.
yeah, like, good God, season 4. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
you
this is
thought
the best season so far.
you thought season three delivered. Oh no, oh no, season four. Is season three delivered? Season four ship same day shipping.
Nah, see, I thought you were going a different direction
Nah,
with that.
I had no idea where I was going with that. I'll be honest.
See, I thought you were going to say if season 3 delivered, season 4 DiGiorno'd.
God damn, I should have. Now that's the worst. Should have gone with that. Missed opportunity is so sad.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I could talk about this season all day. But like we do kind of have to keep
Wrap
this at
this
a
up.
reasonable length. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I guess we'll just go ahead and get into rating it. And I think I want to go first this time.
sure.
I was completely blown away by this season. Even though they split it into arcs, it does feel like one story, just split into 3 different parts.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't see as I was just looking at the wiki, I had no idea how or even why it was showing arcs.
Yeah. but I think the story it tells is pretty incredible. And I would
Oh
say the
shit, I
real
almost forgot
villain
about to tell
this
you something. So the 3 arcs also acted as mini seasons. Because I was looking at the release date, and between all 3 of the arcs, well, I guess between 1 and 2 and 2 and 3, there was a significant gap. Not like too significant, but like a just a standard one. I
I
forgot the.
can't imagine. I can't imagine having to wait that time. But yeah,
Oh yeah. Um, the first one was like a month, and I think the second one was a month or a month and a half.
yeah. But anyway, with how good this season is, I think it deserves a 9.4.
Honestly, I think I was waiting to hear your rating to like ground myself on to even think about rating this, and I have to agree with the 9 there. So 9.2. Why not?
And it's interesting to think about how so season 1, obviously we had our first villain, it was Hydra. Season 2, the villain was really Jiaying for the most part. And then
Yeah,
in season 3, it was Hive. This
that
season,
was
I
creepy.
would not say Ada is the villain. I would say the Darkhold is the villain.
I'd say it is the villain
Yeah. Like,
because
I
it is still betrayed um, without the Darkhold's influence.
did she though? Because the thing with Ada is that she was created by Radcliffe, and Radcliffe was under the influence of the Darkhold. He changed her programming, and he was insane, and he didn't realize the consequences of his own actions.
Hmm.
I think Ada's a victim of the Darkhold too, even if she wasn't initially driven insane by it. I think she was first insane because the guy who programmed her was insane.
Guess that makes sense. But now the Darkhold's back to where it rightly belongs in hell.
In hell. Yeah. Or at least this copy of the Darkhold is where it belongs.
If only Ghost Rider can get to the other copies.
Ah, I wouldn't worry too much about the other copies.
What?
But anyway, with all that being said, join us next week. Fuck, I didn't say it at the beginning of the episode. Uh, you can join us next week for our free movie of the month and for Thor Ragnarok.
Um, Shit, you're saying this like I know.
You do know.
Do I?
You should have the schedule up right now.
I brought up the schedule to tell you. Yeah, Thor Ragnarok.
Okay, good. All right, and then next month we'll do Slingshot and all the Marvel one shots. So look forward to that, and we're gonna do Inhumans the month after that. So I mean, I'm not really looking forward to that, but you can. Uh, but yeah, and then I guess we'll be doing season 5 after that. So with all that being said, I've been Avery. That's been Lily, and smart people are stupid.